All right, and welcome back to We Missed the Point. I'm so excited. I've got my microphone, I've got my headphones, I've got GarageBand, we've got it all. I have a name for us. We are the Point Missers. How brilliant is that? So, I'm just going to refer to you guys as the Point Missers. I'll be like, Point Missers, what are we doing? Okay, not all the time, but I feel like that's a fun name. We could just be like, the Point Missers. Because I think in life, we're always missing the point. But being aware that you're missing the point, and once you can kind of acknowledge and be like, damn, I missed the point there. You can learn, you can grow, We missed the point, we failed, we'll get better, we'll be all right. So on the episode you're about to listen to, I am interviewing Anna, and she is absolutely amazing. Not even interview, we're having a conversation. She's one of my good friends up here who I met at a run. But yeah, ever since we first met, we've been going on walks together once a week. We hold each other accountable. We always will tell each other our goals and sort of what we want to do in that week. And then we'll come back and we'll be like, okay, did you achieve this? Yes, no, why not? What can we do better? And it is so powerful to have someone in your life that you are always holding each other to a certain standard and making sure that you're living up to that. And not from oh my God, you didn't do this, you suck. It's just a really cool, it's a really cool friendship to have that I don't think I've ever sort of had that type of friendship where you are totally honest with each other about the things that you want to achieve. And I don't know, it's really cool. So I hope you guys can see that in the conversation, that we do challenge each other's sort of thinking, and we like to go a bit deeper. And yeah, it's a really good conversation, and she's so inspiring. Her story is so cool. She's a business coach now. She's awesome. I won't spoil it. You guys can listen. But before we get into it, I'm just going to give you just a quick little rundown of sort of what's been going on. Pretty much, I've gotten some equipment. I've been reading a lot, writing a lot, and I've just been sort of trying to understand what I want this podcast to be. Because at the end of the day, I really just want to be able to honestly keep myself accountable with always wanting to learn more and understand the things I'm learning, and make sure that I'm able to actually apply the things that I'm learning into my life. And by having this podcast, I have to speak about it. So it has to make sense, because I have to be able to articulate myself right. And I'll realize pretty quickly if I'm not making sense. And hopefully through that, you guys can learn from it and you guys can relate to it. And I think that I was feeling a bit lost because I was sort of trying to come up with things to talk about rather than just talk about the things that I'm learning. So I'm super excited. The next podcast, or the next solo app, is going to be on pride. And by that I mean having pride in your work or pride in your appearance, things like that. So I'm really excited for that. Hopefully it'll be super relatable and you'll be like, oh, true. Yes. So that's really exciting. But other than that, I think we've been pretty good. Something that I'm really working on, and I want you all to be working on, is taking responsibility for your actions and for your life. It's something that we do touch on a little bit in this podcast, but I want you guys to really take this into your life if you're listening to this, whenever you're listening to this, I want you to take responsibility for your actions and start noticing where you're tending to blame other people or the external environment for reasons why you're not doing whatever it is you're doing. You always have the choice to react in whatever way you choose to react. Life can throw you whatever it wants to throw you, but you always have the choice to react in whatever way you want. So just keep it in mind. It was really interesting. I was doing it all today, and I did notice that there's definitely moments where I blame things for why I'm not doing it. Whether it's, I can't go to the gym because it's raining. Yes, you can still go to the gym. Or be like, oh my God, I'm in a bad mood because the bus driver was rude. But it's you can't control the bus driver's mood. You can control being in a shit mood though. So yeah, random examples, but just keep it in mind. It's been really beneficial for me to pay attention. Now, with that being said, we're going to get straight into the episode. So I hope you enjoy, and yeah, we've got some good things coming, and we've finally got a bit of a setup. It's only going to keep getting better. So come back every week and let's fucking go. All right. Welcome back to We Missed the Point. We have Anna here.
Hello.
We have Jack.
Behind the scenes.
He's actually our producer, if anyone didn't know. Excellent. I know when you want to start with. Let's start with, when was a time in your life when You missed the point. Let's just start straight with that, just straight off.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to start it like at the start or the end. It's the start.
We're going to do the start and test it out.
Well, I actually already thought about this because I was like, I know you're going to ask this question, but I have rephrased it into when was the time where I realized like I was wrong. Yeah. And for me, it was seeking external validation. So I thought that like who I was as a person was what other people thought of me. So like if someone would laugh at my joke, if someone liked me, if someone had an opinion of what I did, then that was kind of who I was. But then when I realized that who I was like who I think I am, you know, and like my values and what I think about myself, that was when I missed the point. Because I think literally everyone does think that, you know, like up until they realize that it's not who they are, like what other people think of them. Like we all think that until we realize that it's wrong, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
So that was what I landed in.
No, but that's good. We were talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
Like I literally had that realization that day that we caught up. Of that, like I thought that I was more concerned about judgment from people, but it was actually more this like need of validation from people.
I know. So interesting, eh?
And I feel like it's definitely pretty common, like realistically. And I don't think it's a bad thing. But
and I don't think it ever goes away as well. It's just realizing that like you actually don't need other people's validation. Like if you validate yourself first, then you don't need other people to be like, oh yeah, that was cool. Because you're like, I've already got me, you know, like I already know that it was cool. Yeah. Or like, I know that this decision is the right decision, so I don't need the validation from others.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a big part of that is that then when you are saying things or you are doing whatever it is you're doing, you're going into it not needing the validation from someone else. Like we were talking about the other day with like parents and like telling them about what you're doing or telling a friend about what you're doing. And sometimes, at least I would feel like I need to, when I'm telling them, I want them to validate it. And so then when you don't get the reaction or the response that you were looking for, it's like,
is this the right decision?
Yeah,
like,
you start questioning yourself.
Yeah, and I definitely think like parents is a massive one because it's like you've always like from the day you were born, you've needed their validation, you know? And then when you finally like do things for yourself and make your own decisions, it's like if they don't validate me, then it's wrong, you know? But it's 100%. Like, no, it's not. So, yeah. Wow, we got straight into it.
No, that was boom. All right.
Did you guys start with that question?
I don't know where we started. But in the best way.
In the best way.
In the best way. Okay, so touching on what you were saying about values, if you can validate your own decisions or own actions, you're going to be empowered. What things do you value the most, though? Go and hit you.
Love it. No, I love that question so much. So I would say that my values literally change like all the time. Like I actually have to reevaluate like each year and see what my values are. And last year they would have been completely different to what they are this year. But this year, growth and personal development, big value of mine. Like it's almost what drives most of my decisions, you know? Yeah. Health and fitness. I didn't even know that was a value of mine, but then I kind of like looked at everything I did in my life and like all my decisions, and I spend money on the gym. I spend more money on like buying like a healthy alternative, and like I spend a lot of my time and money on my health and fitness. So it's like that must be a value, you know? So that's another value. Financial freedom and time freedom. So freedom's a big one. Yeah. And then relationships. So like very intentional quality relationships is a big value. And then I had another one, integrity. So like being your word, being who you say you are is a big value of mine. So I would say those are like my main values, which they feel like so true for me. Like I'm like, yes, like that's what I value, you know? What are yours?
My values, I feel like, as you said, like they've definitely shifted. And if you had asked me a few months ago, it would have been like integrity, the big one, gratitude, and the other one was curiosity. Because I feel like integrity is like a massive one, obviously. Like, are you doing the things that you're telling yourself that you're going to do? And I think we were talking about this of like, you need to like stack up enough evidence that over time, like, you know, you can do that thing. Like, obviously you're always going to doubt yourself, but when you're able to like have enough evidence there that you can do those things, it's like, okay, like, you know? Yeah. And then the curiosity side of it, I think it's just like like openness, like just going through life and like trying new things and like even if you meet someone they have a completely different opinion, like taking that on and like learning from them, because ultimately like everyone's going to have completely different like perspectives on everything based off their own life experiences. And so I think being open and curious about like why people think the way they do, why people act the way they do or follow whatever it is they want to do. Like I find that so interesting. And then gratitude. Like that's always going to be a big one. But now another 2 that I'm going to add is, which I think was a part of it, but like courage. And in that sense, it's more like just doing the things that are uncomfortable and doing the things that seem scary because like, as you know, like they're going to be the things that are going to get you to that next step. So I think courage is one that definitely like I
like
add
that.
to.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Then the other one is, so I was looking into philosophy. I think I was telling you this. Like, I don't know how I got into that. I think it was brought up in something. And another value that they talked about a lot in that is temperance.
What's that?
So that means like in moderation.
Okay.
And so when I heard this, so apparently like back in the philosophical days, they had like temperance and courage were like the main sort of values. And temperance being like doing things in moderation. So let's say it's fitness goal or whatever it is. Like you can't overwork yourself until you're completely burnt out and don't want to do it anymore. You can't, like, yes, I love ice cream. But if I have ice cream 24/7 and that's all I eat, it's not going to be great.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like it's just doing things in moderation and being aware that like, I think definitely in this day and age, like we can tend to like overindulge, even if it's social media, like scrolling, like just constantly over consuming information. Having temperance as a value, especially when I'm quite an impulsive person, keeps me in line a bit. Yeah. So there you go.
That's cool. That's fun. I love it.
You know, it's an interesting one though, and I'd like to hear your take on it. When you're making your values, what are you making them for? Because I think it's so easy to get caught up in like, okay, I'm gonna do this better, or like I want to align myself with this, and this. But it's like, what's the end goal?
I know. I would say it's kind of like how you lead your life. Like how do you, first of all, what are you prioritizing and what do you do every day? And how does that reflect what you value? You know, like for me, if I value growth, what am I doing to like help me grow, you know? And then if I value integrity, how am I leading my life with integrity? So I think it's kind of just a reflection of how you're living your life. So when people like try to find their values or like get new values, you kind of both have to like look at the life you're living now and how you are leading your life, but then also how you want to lead your life. Yeah. Because they're going to look different, you know, like if you're changing your life, then your values are going to look different, like the more you grow and the more you change, I guess.
No,
you know?
100%.
So I would say your values are kind of just how you lead your life and what you prioritize in life.
So I agree with all that.
Yeah.
But I read something the other day, or I don't know where it was, but it was talking about how like, let's say which we'll go into, I want to go into like your business and sort of like how that's going with everything.
Fun.
But when we set goals or you're setting these values, it's like, what are you actually setting them for? Like, what's your ultimate goal?
Well, I don't think I'm setting values. You know, like values is like the life that you're living. It's kind of like who you are. But then when you speak to setting goals, like what are you setting goals for? I guess, I don't know. I think for me, that's a good question. That's a good question. I would say I set goals to get that like sense of achievement and to achieve something and to like live my desired life. Because I think we all have like our own desires for life, you know, like we all have a dream life. And then our goals are like the little steps that are going to get us there. So that's kind of what we're setting it for, you know? Yeah. Yeah. And then our values are how we lead our life, like day to day, and who we are. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. What do you think? What's your take on that? Well, I wasn't sure when I sort of read it, had this, and I was like, I don't actually know. And they made a really good point. It might have been on the High Performance podcast. Oh, yeah. I actually think it might have been them. And they were talking about how like the ultimate goal, like, yes, we all want to be like, well, not all, but like a lot of people want to be high achieving and high performance and get to like whatever it is, like achieve their goals. But realistically, the ultimate thing you're trying to do is just like live a fulfilled life. Yeah. You know, and so it's easy to like set up these goals, and like we were talking about it before about how like, what do you value the most? It's that connection with people at the end of the day, or like it's being happy, content, however you want to take it. But I think it's easy to get swept up in the idea that you've got to be like setting goals and you've got to like achieve all these things. But it's like, if you get to each of those goals and or you're not aware of the overarching thing that you're actually trying to do, which is just like live a good life. Yeah. So that's kind of the idea around how it's like, it's a journey. It's not like you're
It's
not.
the journey, not the
It's not the
destination.
put it on a t-shirt.
That's the one.
Yeah. So like, and it's also the idea around like I'll be happy when, like that's kind of not really what we're playing into, because it's like, yeah, you should be happy now, and then
We're losing one.
the producer is gone.
Now we can say whatever we want. But I think the way I actually heard it, and I really liked it, was the idea that it's like, it's not about getting to the end of the race. It's about like playing the game, but not to win. If I can frame that right. Like the goal, I don't know if we've talked about this.
No,
like,
but I've heard that before.
Yeah, like the goal of marriage isn't to win at marriage. Like there's no end date. It doesn't end. Or like the goal isn't to win at business. The goal isn't to win at, you know, going to the gym. It's like, no, it's like the whole time is just like a continual practice almost.
Yeah, that's good.
You know?
That's why when you have a goal, you actually have to enjoy what you're doing. Like, for example, if you had a goal with the podcast, you're not going to do it because you hate it.
Yeah.
And then get the goal and then be like, cool, you're doing it because you love it. And then the goal is like, I don't know, maybe
No,
like,
it is.
yeah.
And I think that's what I'm really trying to work on at the moment, of like reminding myself that like this is, and we talked about this, like this is what I chose to do.
Yeah.
Like this is the game, or this is the journey, or this is the path that I want to take. I'm meant to enjoy it. Like the point isn't just to get to the very end. And
I know. Yeah, exactly.
But when you do sit with that, it's exciting.
Yeah. And like, I actually always remind myself of this as well. Because it's like, you don't just, like you're always going to strive for something, you know, you're always going to be like, oh my gosh, like when I get this, then I'll be happy. Yeah. But then as long as you're aware of that and you just constantly remind yourself to enjoy the journey, like you have to be conscious of it, you know, because no one, like most people do strive for a goal and think that that'll bring them X, Y, and Z. But you have to be conscious and like, be present, you know, with the journey.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
So with that, do we want to go into sort of what you do?
Yeah.
A little bit of what you do. Give us a bit of a journey. Actually, what I did want to ask is, so like had a bit of a scroll back, had a little bit of a suss, and like you have been talking about like mindset and like personal development for years. Like I think it was back to like 2018. I think I was looking back and I was like, it didn't even cross my mind back then. No way. Like this is a new.
That's great. I love how you've done your research.
No, but I just was like interested because I think it's something that I find really interesting of like, did you always think this way? Did you always sort of want to go down this path? Not having like an exact idea, but.
I love that. So I would say, so in 2020, straight after high school, because I was meant to go traveling with a friend for the whole of 2020, had that all set out, and then that got cancelled because of COVID. So then I was like, okay, what now? I'd always wanted to start a business, so that was always like at the back of my mind. But everyone had kind of just said like, you need to know what you're passionate about before you start a business, you know. And I just knew that. Like I was like, I'm not just going to start a business on coconuts because, you know, like just because I want to start a business. And then 2020 that happened, so that all got cancelled. And then I was just like working during COVID, and then that's when I really got into like reading books and personal development. I don't know like where it started or when it first like what
triggered it.
What triggered it, what book I first read or whatever. But I just started reading like all these successful books like Tony Robbins, Rich Dad Poor Dad, like all those, you know, like classic.
Such the same little start. It's so funny.
I know. I feel like most people get in that way. Like Tony Robbins, he's like he is personal development. And then
come on the podcast if you're listening. We got stopped just for you.
And then I really got into that, and then like I got into like morning routines and like doing all these successful habits that like they told me to do. And like at that time I was like, these are my friends, you know, like I wasn't hanging out with my friends because it was COVID, and like I just got into like a morning routine. I'd listen to a podcast, I'd do gratitude, I'd listen to Joe Dispenza, I'd watch like every YouTube video ever, and just became like obsessed with it. And then I went to Australia last year, and that was like the first time where I like made a decision and no one really backed me. And this was like, okay, I'm making, I know. And it was like the first time where I was like, this is what I want to do, but I know it's crazy. And like, it didn't make sense. The borders to New Zealand were shut. And I was like, I just want to go to Australia. And I'd booked a one-way ticket. And like even my parents, they were like walking on eggshells around me because they were like, we don't support you, but we can't say they didn't obviously say that. But and then so I was like, I just know I need to do this, but it just didn't make sense on paper. Like I booked a one-way ticket. I had no guarantee of coming home at all. I had like 2 nights of accommodation booked and that was it. So I was going with like no plan. I didn't even know what I wanted from it, but I was just like, I just want to go, you know? Mm-hmm. And then that was like the first time where I did something and like backed myself and then just trusted that it would work out like as it should. And I didn't have the support or the validation behind me. And I didn't even know what I was doing, and I didn't know that I needed to do that to trust myself. But coming back from Australia after 3 months, I just like had a new level of like, I know what I'm doing and I can back me and I don't actually need anyone else to, you know? And like obviously I do need support and everything, but when I make decisions, I now know that like, I know what I need to do, you know? So it was interesting and nothing like pivotal happened in Australia and there's nothing that like really stands out other than the fact that I made the decision to go with like no idea why, but I just like did it and like backed myself, you know? So that was cool. And then I came back wanting to like, I just like set a few goals for myself that year and then like really knuckle down on like my personal development and like creating the life that I wanted to live and I don't know, just like growing, you know, like I was really committed to myself last year. And then I set all these goals to save $5,000, to get a life coach, to get better at public speaking, to finish my diploma and then to get a job with like proper work experience because I'd only ever worked on like a cafe, strawberry farm and supermarket. So like, you know, like hospo jobs. I know. So that year I came back to do the diploma. I saved the $5,000 and then I got the mindset coach in June, I think, or May. And then I did a public speaking course, which was so scary. Like that was like my biggest fear. So I was like, I want to do that goal.
Worked well. Good.
I know. And then what was the other one? Oh, work experience. And then I did a job in sales, which was again like another like out of my comfort zone thing. So those were my goals and then I accomplished them. And then getting the mindset coach was like a game changer. Like first of all, massive investment. I'd never spent like more than $200 on anything except for my car. And like the thought of spending even $500 on like myself was like, I'm not going to do that. Like I need to save for like traveling or like something big, you know? And like it didn't make sense because I didn't have any tangible like return on investment, you know? Like I didn't know what I was actually going to get, but I was like, I just need to do this because one, I've set a goal to get a coach and I know the value in it. And I know like, I remember listening to the Mindset Mentor. Have you listened to that podcast? We were talking about that. Yeah, literally. And I remember him saying like, oh, like my life coach and like get a life coach, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's for other people, you know, like that's for like Tony Robbins, you know, like Tony, he needs to come on. But like, I just thought it was like for people like them or people who have a business or people that need it, you know? So I was like, what's the point in getting a life coach or a mindset coach if it's for nothing, you know, it's just for me. Like it didn't really make sense. And then I did it and it just changed the game for me. There's just so much to say, but like it's hard to put to words like how good it was. But
I want you to quickly go into though, because we talked about and I was kind of like, what's the point of it? And then you did a post on it.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to give a brief
now?
overview. Yeah.
Okay,
give a
brief?
/ long. But just on like what you get from having a life coach, because I was kind of like, what's the point? Like, can't I just learn on my own? But
I know. I know. I like was thinking about it for that whole week. I was like, what is the point?
What is the point?
That question really got to me. I was like, oh. But so there's 2 ways that I'll like answer this. So one, my experience. That mindset, so it was a mindset group container. So it was a 4-month container. Our coach would like teach us all this information. We would do so much self-inquiry. We'd have to ask questions about ourselves, kind of dive into like our programming, bring a lot of awareness to ourselves, our beliefs, our values, like what we believe about the world. And it kind of just like made me realize how everything we think has been programmed into us. How we see the world is so unique to us. You see the world so differently. We like like it just brought so much awareness to like everything about how we think and how I was holding myself back and where I didn't believe, like I just had beliefs that I was like, no, like this is right. And then it was like, why do you think that's right? You think it because it was programmed into you. And just like so much, like it was just such a good experience. And even like afterwards, like again, nothing pivotal happened, like nothing like it completely changed, but it was just all the evidence and all the information that just changed what I believed about myself and the world, you know?
Yeah.
And then after that container, I was like, okay, like that was cool. And then like I kind of just went on with my life, and then I was like, I like wanted again, you know?
Yeah. You're like, give me more.
And then, but this time I was like, I'm ready to start a business. Like I know I want to start a business, but still, like I said, like after high school, like I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I ended up booking, like I had like I met up with my friend once, and then we had like a really cool conversation about like goals and everything. And then I was like, I got back home, and then I was like, I just want to like start a business. So I'm going to like put myself in a position where I have to start a business and where someone can help me start a business. So then it made sense to get a business mentor. So then I messaged this girl on Instagram. I was like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I want to do. Like, can I work with you? Like, is this what you offer? And she was like, yep, that's so cool. Like, I can help you with this, this, and this. So
for anyone that maybe is considering getting a mentor, how did you find her as a mentor, or like how did you sort of work out who you wanted, because there's so many people out there?
I know, so many. So there on Instagram, like it's probably the best place, and there are so many people. For me, I invested in her because I had seen so much evidence that of her coaching people, of her creating the life she wants. She just practiced what she preached, and she was so like confident and like said everything with so much conviction that I was like, I want to work with her and I want her to lead me, because it's like you either invest in people if they have the life you want to live, they have the confidence you want to live, skills, if they are offering something that you want and you need, you know. So that's how I found her, and I'd followed her for quite a while. So everyone has like different buying behaviors, but I like really wanted to know like what she was about, and like I had followed her for a long time before I invested in her. But then my business coach that I invested in her because she had a business that I wanted, and I knew that she could teach me exactly how I could do it and like just help me, you know. And then so I invested in her, and then the first call was like, okay, like I told her basically like my story and where I was at, and then I was like, I have such a big dream and desire to start a business. I don't even know where to start, and I don't even know if I can, you know, like, am I allowed to? Like, I literally was like, can you just like give me permission that I can? And then she helped me like get super clear on what I wanted to do. And then like I kind of was clear, like I knew I wanted to do something in mindset, business and development, personal development, but then I almost just actually needed that permission slip, because I was like, I don't know if I can do it, you know, like am I allowed to do this? And then she really helped me with that, and then I started the business, and then so like it was very like I've always wanted to do business, so that was always there, but what exactly, and getting into mindset coaching, that wasn't always clear. Like that really just came from me having a passion and valuing and living my life with working on myself, working on my mindset, and like constantly pushing myself and getting outside my comfort zone. Yeah, that makes sense.
100%. Well, we've talked a lot about that.
Yeah,
and I think like
so much.
It's interesting because like you've just taken the action, and whether that's come from having a coach as well to sort of like be that backing person to push you. I think so many people, including me, are like scared to sort of like take that first step, or like, you know, do that thing that sort of they maybe want to try, but like it's scary. Why do you think you sort of made that step? Or like did you like struggle with the sort of self-doubt around it? Like how have you sort of navigated
100%. I think that will always come up, but it's always about like meeting yourself where you're at, and then like seeing where the edge is, seeing where it's uncomfortable, and then just like going for that, you know, and taking that action. Like it doesn't have to be this massive thing. Like first of all, it can be coming up with an idea and then being like, whoa, like I'll do that. And then it can be starting an Instagram page and it's like, whoa, okay, that's an edge, but I'll do that, you know. And then it can be like posting it on your main and telling people about it, and it's like, oh, that's scary, but I'll meet myself there. And then it can be creating an offer, and then, or like talking on your stories, and it's like, oh, that feels scary, but I'm going to meet myself there again, you know, like it's just doing like the next step and just meeting yourself there, because each time you do it, you'll build confidence within yourself, and you're going to see that you actually can do the thing, you know, even though it's scary. So I think it takes like, you actually just have to feel the fear and do it anyway.
100%.
You know?
Like, I love when we talk about this stuff, because it's so true. Like, it's literally just, even if you think of it like a puzzle, like, you know, you're saying like around the edge, like,
I love it.
Yeah, like if you've got a puzzle.
I keep forgetting that.
You just forget it's there.
Yeah.
But like a puzzle, it's like you've made the whole like border of it, and then like you've got all these pieces that are just middle pieces, and you're like, now what? Like I have no idea what this picture actually looks like. I don't know how to do it, but you just got to start like putting them in, and then like slowly like you start to see what's gonna work and like what doesn't, and that's all part of it.
Yeah, literally. And like you do actually have to, like, it sounds like so like silly, but you actually have to start with the small things. So like your routine, reading, like building your confidence in the small things, like building confidence by doing what you say you're going to do, even if it's getting up at 5 a.m. Because if you do that, then it's like, okay, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So then when you do the bigger things, like posting it on your Instagram, you're like, when I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And it's the same thing. It's just on different levels, you know? But it's just like you've got the base, like self-confidence and self-trust that you know you're going to do it when you say you're going to do it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What would you say your morning routine is then?
Okay, all right. So I usually get up. I work at a restaurant at the moment, so I work kind of late. But I'm committed to getting up at 5 a.m. So I do, and then I make my bed first thing. This past week, I've been having cold showers because Mega Run. It's in the program week 6. So, that was fun. Probably won't continue doing that. Nah, I know I should.
That's
I know.
Going for swims.
Yeah,
to
true.
boost the dopamine.
I know, that's true. I will. Okay, fine. And then I do a gratitude, so like 3 things I'm grateful for, and then I'll do like a brain dump or like a journal, and then I read for half an hour. And then I go for a walk and listen to a podcast, and then I'll go to the gym. So that's what I love doing in the morning, and I feel like that just sets me up for the perfect day. And I just recommend everyone getting like some sort of inspiration from someone, so like watching a YouTube video or a podcast, and then practicing gratitude, focusing on what you do have rather than like what you don't have, and then doing something that challenges you. So going for a run or going to the gym or just moving your body in some way. So like when I do those 3 things, I'm like, that's like the perfect start to my day, you know?
Yeah.
What do you do in the morning?
Mine kind of changes, honestly.
Do you have like a morning routine or like?
I have multiple.
Love that.
I have multiple. And like I went through a stage and I was very much like doing the same thing every morning. Like very similar. It was like wake up 5, go for a swim, journal, come back here. Oh no, then go to the gym and then go to a cafe and like start doing some work. And then I kind of like got to a point, and I remember I think I like listened to something, and this is what happens. I listen to things and then it like changes what I think, and then I'm like, oh, like maybe I should try doing that. And this particular person, no idea who they were, can't remember. But they were talking about how like, why is it now a thing that you should like wake up, journal, do gratitude, go for a walk, listen to a podcast? Like, why is that now the perfect morning routine? Because if you ask most people, that's what they're going to say. And the person was like, why don't you just like try change it up a bit? Like what actually works for you? And I would find myself getting, I called it blurry habits. Blurry discipline and blurry habits.
Nice.
And it came from like this overload of like, you know, you want to be like moving your body, you want to be journaling, you want to be doing gratitude. Like there's all these things that like should, expectation. And I found that I was almost getting overwhelmed by wanting to do all the different things. And I stopped and I was like, okay, what do I actually like want to do? Like what's going to work for me? And I decided that I would instead wake up at like, you know, same thing, like 4:35, depending when I've gone to bed, let's say 5, and then go out and just like start doing some work straight away. And so I do like a couple hours of work, and it might be then like, let's say 7, 8 o'clock, and then I'll have some brekkie, and then I might do a little bit more like work, depending whether I've got much to do. And then I'll go to the gym at like midday. And where the gym is, I like, it's like a half an hour walk there and back, and I like literally like talk to myself on the way
I love
on
that.
the walk.
I've been doing that more and I'm obsessed.
It's so good.
I love
it's
it.
so good. I just talk to myself and it's kind of like my way of like, it's like a reset. It's like I've got that first sort of half the day and I've got what I've needed to get done. And then I can go to the gym, reset, feel good, and then come back. If I've got some more work to do, I'll do that. And then in the arvo, go for like a walk. And
so that you love that?
I love it
Yeah,
now.
that's fun. I mean, I don't actually think there's a right way to do it. Like, for example, I've got my flatmate's car right now, so I'm probably going to be like, I want to go to like different gyms, so I'll probably do gym at 5 a.m. classes.
Yeah.
You know, like you can mix it up and just see what works for you. You know, like there's no right answer. And like I just love doing that because I feel like it sets me up well. And then 100%. I'm in like the right mindset. I'm like motivated.
Yeah, and
but yeah, like
that's what you want from it. Like that's the goal.
Yeah.
And I think just sometimes maybe it's social media, maybe it's just me, maybe it's I don't know, but like
probably social media being like you should do this.
Yeah,
like,
and it's like, well, what actually works for you? Like taking that time to sort of be like, okay, what's going to make me feel the best? What's going to set me up for like a day that I'm actually going to like get stuff done?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, no, I love that. That's fun.
What book are you reading? Because I know there was one that we needed to talk about.
Okay, it is called You Are a Badass at Making Money. Obsessed.
Yeah.
Is that so good?
Yeah.
So she has another book called, I think it's just called You Are a Badass, and I love her way of writing. Like it's so like, just like quirky and like fun and like, it's just such a fun read and she's very funny. But this book is so good. Like you need to read it. I'm going to give it to you.
I know. I will.
Yeah. Money is such an interesting topic.
Has it changed your mindset around money?
Yes.
Since reading it?
So much. Like,
did you miss the point?
I missed the point.
Did you miss the point?
I missed the point. I literally did. Like, oh my gosh. I think one thing that I didn't really realize is that one thing when I missed the point was how money is literally like if you are not attracting money in your world right now, or if you don't have enough of it, it's because you don't believe you can. Like it's because you have conditioning and beliefs around money that are actually stopping you from making money. Yeah. And I was like, what? Like that doesn't make sense. But the more I'm reading and understanding, I'm like, it makes so much sense. Like whether you think money is hard to make, you can only make money like the more you work or the more hours you work. Like people who have money are like greedy or gross or mean or whatever. What else is there? Like money, maybe just like you can't be happy if you have money.
Yeah.
You know, like all of those beliefs are literally what stop you from making money because you're like, oh, like I don't want to be around that if that's what happens when I have money, you know? So it's just so interesting to see how like making money, whether you have it or you don't, is because of your beliefs about money.
So for someone that's listening and is like, what do you mean that my beliefs are going to help me make money? What about your beliefs affects the money that's coming into your life?
Well, I think it's with any belief. If you believe I'm not good enough to get this job or I'm not smart enough, you're not going to take action to get that job. So if you believe money is hard to make, you're not going to make it easy for yourself because you're going to work hard to make money. And if you think like money is for other people, then you're not going to try make money. You know, like I remember reading a study once and it was like there was a job description, right? And it had the exact same job. The only difference was one was offering the job for 65K a year. One was offering the job for 120K a year. And then it said that most of the time women apply for the 65K a year because they don't believe they'll get the job if they apply for the 120K.
Wow.
But it's the exact same job. Same like skill requirements, same everything. Only difference is one has less money, one makes more. And most of the time women apply for the lesser one because they don't think they're worth that much. And then most of the time men apply for the one that makes more money because they think that they can make that much.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's the exact same thing. The only difference is their belief about what they're worthy of making and what they think they can make.
Okay, so let's say you get someone into your coaching, right? You've just got a client and they've come in and they've got that sort of mindset around money that's like, I need to work really hard for it, or it's like, you know, that scarcity mindset. What would you tell them? Can you think of anything?
Well, I wouldn't tell them. I would ask them like about their beliefs about money. Why do you think money is good or bad? What do you believe about money? What kind of things did your parents tell you about money? How are you spending your money right now? Like, do you think when money comes in, are you like, oh, awesome, like I love having money? Or are you like, oh, you know, or like, do you spend it straight away? What are your money habits?
Yeah.
Where are you holding yourself back from making more money?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm even like using self-inquiry at the moment to see where I'm holding myself from back from making money, because like I'm only just like understanding all of this, you know,
sure,
like
for
it's
sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's a weird concept.
It's so weird.
Like, I'm really not struggling is the right word, but like trying to wrap my head around it. And like, I find it easier to wrap my head around the idea that like, you know, your thoughts sort of like shape your reality, and like your subconscious programming that's going to shape everything. But it's like money's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's just another thought.
I know.
So of course,
It's crazy.
do you know what I mean? Like it's the same thing. Like at the end of the day, like money is, it's a concept.
Yeah, and in the book it was saying like money is just a blank slate, like it's just nothing, and you give meaning to what money is.
Yeah. But then it's still like, because in my head then goes, okay, but I do need to work hard to make money.
Yeah, but why? Why do you think that?
Because it's like, where does it come from? I'm playing devil's advocate, you know, it's just like, but then
I hate how you play.
I know, I'm like, okay, but like, yeah, okay, let's say I've fixed my mindset around money, I love it, but like, where's it coming from? Where? Like, if I'm not obviously, it's what energy you're putting in, I guess. Like, if you're putting in the energy, then you're going to receive that same back. I think that's where it's...
Yeah. I don't know. It's a hard one.
I know, we haven't worked it out.
We're not worked it out. We're still learning. I know. Yeah, it's like with beliefs, you actually have to just be a little bit delusional, and just like we were saying this as well, like you just have to actually believe like money is actually all around me, and if I can't see it, it's because I think I'm not looking for the opportunities, you know? Like you have to just put it out there, like money is everywhere and opportunities are actually everywhere. I just have to like take action and then just kind of like see where it
No, but it's so bizarre, and like I think the more you go into this sort of whole thing, it's just the more of like a mind boggle it is, because you're just like, everything literally does come down to your thoughts.
Everything.
Like,
I know. Like your external reality and where you are in life right now is a reflection of your internal reality. Yeah. And what you've believed about yourself and the world. Oh,
I know.
We're so good.
I know. So I'm like, I want to get to like make sure that we've covered all the things. Where do you sort of see yourself going with this?
That's right.
Yeah.
I love that question. Well, I just want to help people create the life that they desire.
Yeah.
And that for me started with working on myself, working on my mindset, working on like bringing awareness to who I actually was, what I value, what I actually want to do, because I didn't actually know what I wanted to. I still like, it's still changing, and only recently have I got like pretty clear on what I want to do and where I want to go. But it's like hard to actually bring awareness to who you actually are, because there's so much noise like everywhere, you know? So guide them and like support them in creating that life. And I just want to like inspire people and like lead people and like help people, motivate people, and show them what is possible, you know, and like show them that they can create the life that they desire, because I'm still doing it, you know? So I think it's cool that I actually get to like show people.
Well, exactly. And you're living it.
I'm living it.
Like living, breathing it, of like
I know.
watching how much of an impact making those little steps actually has on your own life. Like even like we were talking about this, like we don't know where this is going. Like you could be a coach and then you could move on and be a speaker. You could do, who knows where it's going to go, but it's following those little things that you like enjoy doing. But you can't get to those little steps if you don't even know what.
I know. And then if you don't take action, you know, like you also look at all the like people who have achieved things that they want to achieve and like living the life they want to live. It always comes down to like knowing what you want, having awareness of what you want, and then actually just like, first of all, like following people who have done what you want, and then taking action. Like you actually have to do things.
Do you think you had like a time at the start, because I certainly did, of when you were just like analysis, not even analysis paralysis, but just like absorbing everything and not acting on anything?
100%. And I needed that. Like I needed, because it changed my beliefs. Like it took all that information and all the consuming, and I was just, I just like found people who had the life that I wanted to live, or had the business, had the mindset that I wanted, and I literally just consumed everything they said. Like I was like, cool, I'll do that. Like, I don't know, I was just consuming so much of what I believed, and it kind of just validated all my beliefs, but also changed my beliefs.
I was going to say, then you don't want to be too, because I think that's also what you can fall into is like just looking at the things that you believe, and then of course you're going to be really passionate about it. That's where I think openness and like curiosity, as I said before, is like a big value of mine, because then you can like look into like another perspective and like sort of hear someone else's belief and sort of be like, okay, like wonder if that better suits me.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like they validated like my goals and dreams, and I was like, cool, they've done that, and then I like consumed everything they said and did, you know. For me, and like at the start, taking action was reading a book like 10 pages every day. Taking action was listening to a podcast every day, you know, like that's still taking action, because it's still like you fall into this place of like just consuming and not doing, but then it's like on a level, like sometimes you can't, like, would you have been ready to do this like 5 months ago?
Well, no. Like I would say no. Yeah. But then if we go back 5 months ago, like I made the artwork for this podcast. Like,
so that's you taking action.
Yeah. Like it was so long ago, but they were tiny little steps that actually this is, I think we have talked about of the idea that like, don't worry about it making sense now, because your future self, or like you in the future, will always make a story and make it make sense. Like we
didn't talk about that, but I love that.
Yeah, okay,
I love that.
But yeah, it's kind of that idea that like realistically, everything that you just told me about your past and how you got to where you are, when you were doing it, you didn't know what you were doing, but like you're always going to be able to make some sort of story out of it, even if it is a failure, even if it didn't go the way you planned. Like you're always going to be able to come back to those things, or like those little steps that you took and be like, oh my God, it's got me to here. And there was this quote, and it was like, life should be lived by design, not by default.
Yeah, that's good.
That works. There you go. Life should be lived by design. That might even be it. I don't think it is, but life should be lived by design and not by default.
That sounded better.
Yeah, and by default.
You just said it with more conviction.
And like by default, it's like, you know, let's say you wake up and then you go to work, and there's nothing wrong with this, but if you wake up, you go to work, and then you come home, maybe you watch a movie, then you go to bed. If someone asked you, or that person, like, oh, like, what are you doing today? It's like, oh, yeah, just sort of seeing, and like, I've got work, and then I'm going to go do this. It's like, you're just living by default. Like, it's based on 100% your environment and like the people around you, or, you know, what happens at work. Like, you're not creating that.
Yeah, you're like a product of your environment. You're not, I know.
And you can't escape your environment, but I think when you're aware that you are a product of your environment, then you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so true. I know. And like creating your life is so intentional, you know, like you have to be so intentional. Otherwise, like most people do live their life by default and like subconsciously, you know. So like you actually do have to bring awareness, know what you want, and then start to like action and implement what you want, which is hard. Like,
no, it's also like overwhelming, because it's like, you know, then that sort of doubt comes in of like, oh, should I be doing that? And like you are then more aware of what you're doing, so then you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to make the wrong decision, but at the same time I think it's better than the alternative. It's like picking your different hearts.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. And like, do you want like pick your heart, like what heart do you want? The hard where it's like you hate your life every day, or you just do the hard now to live like that easy, or the life that you like, you know? Because I'd way rather do the hard now.
100%.
You know?
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's all we wanted to cover, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's good.
I loved that conversation.
So, we're doing a thing. I haven't told you about it, I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think I have. So this is our We Missed the Point little book. You know how Stephen Bartlett does the our version of Fuck You, What's With You.
That's sick.
So what you're gonna do is, I'm just gonna be 5 minutes. Like it's do whatever works. But you're just gonna draw like a page of like what you're grateful for.
Oh, cool.
I love anything.
It. No, I love that.
You've got pens. You can write things. You can draw things. Ooh. Whatever.
Can I put my name?
Yeah. You can put your name. You can put whatever you want. But there was like this research that showed that the most effective way of like implementing gratitude is by actually listening to someone else express their gratitude.
Oh, I love that.
But no, I remember I always used to draw like on any sort of test or assignment that I ever got at school. Whenever I was done, I'd draw like a an island with like a palm tree and a sun and a beach. Like it was just a thing that I always drew, and I never really paid much attention to it. And then I remember one time I was like, oh, I'm gonna actually try this meditation thing, and I was like, actually put like a YouTube thing on, and it was like visualize like a place, and I was visualizing this like beach with a palm tree and this dog. Oh, and I drew a dog, and I was like, I've like been here, like where have I been here? And I realized that I was like literally like in my mind in that picture that I would always draw, and I was like, it was the most.
That's wild.
Does that make sense? Number 10.
9.1 out of 10.
But fucking just feeling good.
The 0.9 is because my phone is cracked. Oh, we didn't tell the audience that.
Yeah. Actually, well, we can talk about it now.
Yeah.
Really quickly. Do you want to just explain?
Right. So I was just like on my way to come do the We Missed the Point podcast with Zoe, and I was really looking forward to it. Like I was super excited. Had my things in my hand, keys, phone, drink bottle in the other, and then I see this man. And I was like, oh, there's someone I haven't met. I'll need to introduce myself. So I got my hand out of something and then flung my hand out. Hand out of my pants. Got my hand out of my pants. And then I went to put my hand out, and then my phone for some reason was in my hand, and I flung it over the edge of the balcony. It flew. We watched it fly.
It was like a solid like.
It was like it was a lot. It was a big drop, and then I heard it crack. And I've dropped my phone quite a few times, so I was like, "Should be good."
It's just not off a 2-story building.
Yeah. And then I was like, "That definitely cracked," and I didn't have a good feeling about it, and so I went to check it, and then
it wasn't cracked.
You just didn't check it. You shouldn't have said that. You came up, and I had high expectations.
The front wasn't cracked. But
the
rest
so
was
bad. And I was like, at least it's not the front. Exactly. I'm so grateful that it wasn't the front.
Beautiful. Well, thank you all for listening. Anna, where can we find you?
Oh.
And Jack, if you want to come on, you can tell everyone where you can both come and sit. We definitely didn't film this on the same day.
No.
Yeah, this is
yeah.
Definitely not.
You go.
You go. You were first.
Oh, fucking hell.
You're episode 1.
We're just very polite. You can find me on Instagram at Jack Gallagher Smith, and then you'll find everything else you need there.
Oh.
Links in bio.
Yeah, all that good gear.
Nice. You can find me on Instagram too. Anna Grace Coaching.
Huge.
Whoa.
Hey, Root.
Cheers.
How good.
We're going to do an outro. Should we all now again come to the microphone? We're going to just keep adding to the outro. Boop. Boop 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 la 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 la. We missed the point.
We missed the point. I love it.
Beautiful.